Good morning, everybody. So today is Saturday. It's another absolutely glorious day, and we are in Akershaugen, which is at the start of the Telemark Canal, or one place on the Telemark Canal. And it is lovely here. We're in a sculpture park in Sauerhad, which is the other side of the river from Akershaugen, and it is absolutely glorious. It's so peaceful here. It's quite amazing, and we're surrounded by mountains or hills and water, and it is lovely. There's a campsite over there I can see which looks glorious. It's just stunning, absolutely amazing here, and you can take boat trips here down the canal, I believe, in the summer as well. I don't think they're doing it yet, but they're probably getting ready for it. But it is quite amazing, and again it's a stunningly gorgeous, beautiful blue sky day, which, we're having read the forecast, we think it's going to be okay for the next 4 or 5 days, and then I think the weather's going to change, but that's okay. Even if we get 4 or 5 days of sun, we'll have done quite well, won't we? You can also swim here as well. It's a bathing place. I don't fancy it, looks a bit chilly, but you know, it takes all sorts.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Jill.
And we are Which Way Now?
Call it off, let it go.
So we are now at Stave Church, and Stave Churches are very famous in Norway. There's 28 of them left apparently, and this is one of the biggest and the best. It's the only one with 3 towers. It was built in the 13th century, and it's made of wood, so it's 800 years old, and it's made of wood, and it's still standing, which is quite impressive. We haven't been inside yet, but we're going to, and it looks absolutely amazing from the outside. So we've just visited the Stave Church at Heddle, and now we've stopped for lunch, and we've just driven through loads of beautiful scenery, snow-capped mountains, there's snow on the other side of the road, and behind us we stopped by this lake, and it's actually partly frozen still, which is the first time we've seen a frozen lake in Norway. Oh, well, it is only day 3 or whatever it is, but yeah, and it's partly frozen, and it's just beautiful again around here. I mean, everywhere, I keep saying it's stunning, but it really is. It is quite amazing.
Unfortunately, we couldn't actually get into the Stave Church that we just visited. We were hoping to go in, but unfortunately there was a wedding that day. Well, fortunately for the bride and groom, presumably, but unfortunately for us. And yeah, we couldn't get in. So we're on our way to another Stave Church, and hopefully this time we will be able to get in.
So this is Eidsborg Stave Church. Again, it's not open, which is a bit of a shame. It's quite different to the other one. It's much darker, but the surroundings are just breathtaking. I mean, it looks very like Switzerland. We commented on that as we came along the road here. This lovely little clearing in the middle of the mountains, and it is just, yeah, it's breathtaking, absolutely beautiful. So this is our spot where we've decided to park for the night. And what I say is good old Park for the Night. The app Park for Night is fantastic. So it did say quite definitely there was space for a camper van down here, and there was a fire pit. But it did say it was quite a rough track to get down, which it was. Fortunately, we could turn Henry at the bottom here. And this is beautiful. We can hear the birds singing. There's a bit of sun coming over the mountain, and we can hear a waterfall. Can't hear any roads or anything. And we've got a fantastic view of a beautiful lake. What more could you want for your nighttime stop, eh? Absolutely gorgeous. And it's free, exactly. We're at the lighthouse at Lindesnes, and this was actually this was the first lighthouse in Norway, and it was built in 1685, I think it was slightly earlier, and it's been running pretty much ever since. I think it's been running continuously since 1725, they said. This is the most southerly point in the whole of Norway, and there's been an awful lot of wrecks and things off this coast, and you can see if you look around at the rocks and things, I'm not really surprised. And it's quite a nice day today, but you can imagine on a horrible day. It was saying that basically in 1998 all of this was destroyed, all of the buildings on the island were destroyed, or on this headland were destroyed by storms, because in times of storm the waves can reach up to 25 metres high, which is a pretty scary thought actually. So it would probably mean that the waves could reach roughly where we are now, which is, yeah, not a good thought at all. We've just been reading about the, I can't remember the name of the ship, the Palatia, that was actually bombed by British troops or by British airplanes just off this lighthouse point, and 900 and something people were lost. And unfortunately it wasn't full of German soldiers, it was actually full of Russian prisoners of war. So as they said, it was just highlights the senselessness of war, doesn't it really? But there's quite a lot of steps up to this lighthouse. So we just climbed up to the top of the Lindesnes lighthouse. I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's how we're saying it. And the views up here are quite amazing. It's a bit of a grey day today, but it's not bad at all. And there's lots of pictures of other lighthouses down there, and they were saying there are 41 lighthouses and 200 lights basically along the coast in Norway. And this in the Second World War was actually used as a German anti-aircraft emplacement, as there were 4 different anti-aircraft guns that were placed here as well. So this was the original lighthouse here, and originally in 1725 when it was first lit, it was actually a coal fire, and for 150 years, 125 years, it was an open coal fire. And you see those bits there, that was where they put the coal in, and they had to, there was one light here and another place called Marcoy, and there was a guy who was in charge of both of them, and he had to signal to his assistants who worked here with a cannon if it didn't look right. So basically that was how they kept the fires burning all the time. 250 tonnes of coal they needed, which they had to bring up by hand from the bottom bit down there as well. I mean, in 1854, finally, they became an oil-lit lighthouse, and the top of that was taken off and put over there onto the new lighthouse to make the new lamp, which was lit by 5 oil wicks. So, in the last video, or the video before, we told you about the fact that Henry had a problem with his water, which we thought was caused by Highbridge. That's certainly what the dealer in Christiansen said. So we emailed Highbridge to say how upset we were, and to be fair to them, within 24 hours we got a response, and they offered to pay for the repair that we've had to make, and the money was pending going into our account last night. So we'd like to say very much thank you to Highbridge for owning up to their mistakes. And Henry is now mended. Yeah, and you have to give credit to people, don't you, when they've made a mistake and they've owned up to it and they've paid for it, so you can't really argue with that. So if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and send us a comment.